Welcome to a football show. That is Nick Suss. I am Braden Gall. Of course, we are brought to you by Sinkers Beverages and Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. Rookie camp is here. Cam Ward will debut, and everything about his entire career will be decided on Saturday when the media gets to watch him throw football for an hour in a Tennessee Titans uniform. Nick, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Hello from my parents' basement. I know most of you guys think I'm usually the nerd in my parents' basement. That only applies today. No other shows have been from my parents' basement before, but today, yeah, this is a mural my dad had commissioned about 15 years ago of Yankee Stadium. These two Coke glasses right here, those gloves are he and I at Yankee Stadium. We've never sat this place at Yankee Stadium before, but it's a sick mural. My favorite part about this mural, if I can divulge for a second, there are
Please
two foul
check
poles.
us out on YouTube.
There are two foul poles in left field, but there's no foul pole in right field, which makes me think that the artist thought he was drawing a football field and drew a goalpost and just accidentally put two foul poles there. So the only place you can hit a fair ball, if you're watching this on YouTube, is that little alley between the fair foul line down the left field line and Monument Park at Yankee Stadium. But yeah, that is as I told Braden before, I am makeshift in my parents' basement sitting on our old DVD stack. So at any point, if anyone during the show, if you want to comment the word DVD, I will pull out a random DVD from 2005 and be like, look, it's cheaper by the dozen.
Oh my God, why do you have that?
For 2005, everybody was watching Cheaper by the Dozen.
I guess. Sunmaker, Ed, Eddie, all good to see you guys in the comments. Please turn on notifications on YouTube. Thumbs up if you want to go ahead and share this wherever it is you're watching, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Get some more people in. We can ask some questions. We're going to try to have fun today because Nick and I, we're going to talk about rookie camp. We're going to get a chance to talk to Brian Callahan and watch practice on Saturday for 1 hour. It's a 3-day camp. They don't join the big boys until like next week, basically. And so what we're going to do is we're going to gamify the entire thing. And that was sort of Nick's idea, but we ran with it here. So we're going to have Titans rookie camp prop bets is kind of what we're going to do today. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at video virality. Which clip of a player doing mostly warm-up activities is going to get the most likes over the course of the weekend. So that's our first prediction. Number 2, we're going to do a draft on second contracts. So we're going to look at all the rookies, the 8 names. Cam Ward doesn't count. We're going to look at the 8. There's going to be a lot of, Nick, as I'm reading the 3 things that you write on the Tennessean about this, there's going to be a lot of content where it's going to be excluding Cam Ward.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the talk we're going to do a lot of this summer. So excluding Cam Ward, we're going to draft the other 8 drafted rookies. Who's got the best chance to get the second contract? That's number 2. Then we're going to pick out a UDFA that we each like the most to maybe have a big weekend and to see who shines or flashes, as they say, when it comes to training camp and or rookie camp. We're going to do that. We're both going to predict. We're going to write down some quotes that we think Brian Callahan will say on Saturday because he will speak before the practice, I believe, correct?
Yes.
So he's going to speak before practice on Saturday. We're going to predict some of the things that Brian Callahan's going to say, and then which media member is going to screw up the PR rules of practice, which there are PR rules of practice for every practice for the Titans during training camp and during regular season, and for every coach and GM. They always have certain rules. There's rules on Saturday, and which media member is going to screw those up. We'll start, and I've got a question about trades in general to end the show. But I'm going to start with Cam Ward at first here, so we'll get into that and sort of expectation setting and then sort of look at some actual football storylines on the field real fast, and then we'll play our game, if that works for everybody out there. Sinkers Beverages, 4-time Liquor Store of the Year. 4-time Liquor Store of the Year. Over 40 years of serving the East Nashville community. You can search Uber Eats and have them deliver the booze directly to your house this weekend. They drive, so you can drink. Oh, BH2 says DVD. Along Came Polly. Now that is a great one. Along Came Polly, great one.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder
for participating, BH2. I've got like 20 or 30 in here. It's not going to be like an every 4 seconds thing, but yeah, we can mix it up.
I wonder if Mike Tirico likes the scene where Ben Stiller rubs the nuts on the ground and then eats them. Did you see that? Mike Tirico could not broadcast the Kentucky Derby this weekend because he ate some nut. He's got a huge nut allergy, I guess, and he ate some nuts like right before the Derby started, and he had to be pulled off the broadcast last minute. Crazy. Anyway,
wild.
Yeah, crazy. It's almost like peanut allergies are serious. Great movie, Along Came Polly, by the way. Way better than Cheaper by the Dozen. Just
I'm
for the
trying to
record.
figure out what. Oh, VZ. Never mind. I figured out what the VZ means. We don't need to.
Is it somebody's initials?
It was my uncle's last name. Yeah,
Okay.
we got it. This was my uncle's DVD, apparently.
All right, so Sinkers Beverages, right in the middle of the ad. BH2, come on, man.
Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Willie's.
Make sure you
Sponsors.
search Uber Eats for Sinkers Beverages. They'll deliver the booze directly to your house this weekend, so they drive so you can drink. Award-winning craft beer retailer fridge as well. Sign up for the in crowd. They'll give you all kinds of access to cool stuff ahead of time, so make sure you do that. Great folks up there at Sinkers Beverages. Check them out. Shotgun Willie's Barbecue open Wednesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. until the meat is gone. The award-winning Black Hawk Farms American Wagyu beef brisket. It's the best. It's the best brisket you'll get in the city. All right, so I don't have a lot to say about Cam Ward's, and I think your lead and your story about the things you're looking forward to tracking over the course of rookie camp is the right way to look at this. There's not really anything he can or can't do to affect really anything as it pertains to his role as the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. So I guess my first question is, why are the Titans doing the obligatory, it's going to be an open competition, we got 4 guys and 2 spots, and maybe there's going to be 3 spots, and I know that it's not really a story, but it becomes a story with, like, you know, certain media members. He's not the starting quarterback. Like, there's nothing that he can actually do, good or bad, that's going to change where he stands with this franchise over the weekend, right?
It's something I do plan to ask Brian eventually, not because, oh, why are you pretending? We're more tactful than that. But the thing I'm curious about is last year he made such a point of articulating that Will was the starter, that there was no competition. Last year it was very clear, we're doing this because we believe in this guy. And this year that is not the tactic. And I'm curious if there is something he learned from giving Levis that unfettered guarantee that he doesn't want to repeat, or if this is just not wanting to give a rookie a big head. Like, there's 2 ways to look at this, but like last year, it went well into October that it's like, it doesn't matter if he's struggling, Will's our starter. There was the, I believe in this guy and I'm going to give him confidence. And that's not being articulated with Cam quite yet. And I don't know if that's because it's personality management and Cam reacts to stimuli differently than Will does or whatever it is. But that's the part of this that sticks out. Coaches are always going to say it's all about competition. But last year there was an asterisk on this. And that asterisk is gone now. And I want to know which one is the real approach Brian Callahan believes in.
He's also not taken a single snap at practice yet. And it's not camp either, right? This is rookie stuff. So I think it's a little bit of the situation. A little bit of it's not that big of a deal. A little bit we want to make sure Cam earns it or at least stays grounded to some degree. And I don't think it's anything more than, honestly, I don't think it's any of that stuff. I know this sounds weird. I think it's just outward messaging to say, like, we want to give everybody a shot. And honestly, the way I read it is we are giving everybody a shot to win the second job.
Yeah.
is how I'm reading that. It's an open competition for Allen, Boyle, and Levis to become 2 and 3. That's how I read it. So
yeah, and like, look, the thing Braden's alluding to, I wrote in a story that went up this morning. There is not a single thing that Cam Ward can do this weekend that is going to improve or hurt his draft stock. Like, not a single, or his stock with the team. He is still the quarterback of the future, whether he goes out and he's 30 for 30 or he's 0 for 30. Nothing's going to happen. Unless they have secretly fitted him for like a Winter Soldier arm and he's a completely different person than we thought he was, nothing is going to happen with Cam Ward. It's in the zeitgeist. People are talking about, I haven't seen the movie yet, but it's in the zeitgeist.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a Marvel thing. It's a
Winter Soldier arm?
Yeah.
Is that the new Avengers? Is that the new Avengers or the Thunderbolts? What's the movie called? I don't even know what it's called.
He's one of them, but he's been in Marvel for like 15 years. If you've ever seen a film.
I like the guy from Stranger Things. Okay. He's like a Russian. Isn't he like a Russian superhero?
David Harbour. Speaking of movies, it's Freaky Friday.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is going to be a long show.
But yeah, Cam Ward. He's going to be the Titans quarterback, whatever happens this week. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, and honestly, when we get to our video virality, like it's probably going to be Cam Ward, but again, we'll start to do the excluding Cam Ward thing because if he makes a bad throw, it's going to be if he makes a bad throw, it's going to get all kinds of clicks. It's going to get all kinds of attention, and it may not even be relevant to what actually happens on the field. We don't it's just because again, we'll get to the rules in a little while, but you can't film any actual football. You can film warm-up stuff, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I there's nothing that he can do. I think it will be exciting, and I'm okay with this for people to see him in a uniform with with that flaming thumbtack on his side of his head throwing footballs in Nashville. I think people are gonna go bananas for and that's okay. You should get excited about it.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's worthy. All right, couple of other things that you're looking at. It does feel like the receiving core, because you drafted 2 in the 4th round in DK and Iomanner, and then you went and got Restrepo, which for right or for wrong gets a lot of headlines for lots of obvious reasons. So you're going to have a lot of receivers that people want to see this weekend and how they perform and in what. And this is the thing I think actually you can learn if you hypothetically if you're watching all 3 practices, but we're only getting Saturday for an hour. I do think how they are deployed and in what order they are deployed is important to keep an eye on and to note.
Oh, totally agree. And I think that the way the Titans have signed wide receivers this offseason, it's going to be really interesting to see what they consider a slot receiver to be. Because I think people just look at Tyler Lockett size-wise and kind of think, oh, that's the slot receiver. Tyler Lockett played like 65, 70% of his snaps on the outside last year, hasn't been a primary slot receiver since 2020.
25% of his targets came in the slot last year, so 75% were on the outside, which I think is, to your point, a common misconception about him.
So you have Ridley, who was about a 75-25 perimeter guy last year. Lockett, who was the same way. Van Jefferson, who's always been a perimeter receiver, and then young guys. So you have Iomanner, who Callahan has said they're going to start at X. And for those who don't speak pure X parlance, Stoney's in the comments. Explain the difference between X, Y, and Z for us. Give us a full explanation.
I was an X receiver in high school. It means your foot's on the line of scrimmage, which is the tight ends on the other side of the formation, generally speaking. And it means you're going against the big corner is what you're doing. But.
And I know that. I just didn't feel like saying that.
Oh, okay. I got you. No, I know you did. You wrote it in your story, and you were a pulling guard in high school, so I know.
I did play a lot of wing tee football. That's what me and Cam Ward have in common. Speaking of parents' basement.
No.
Right over there.
It's framed? You got it framed? Oh, my God.
You think I got it framed?
Yeah. That's the story we're telling on the show.
My helmet is somewhere around here, too.
Oh, my God. I'm not going to lie. I have 2 jerseys, but they are folded up in a box in a closet for sure. So.
Yeah. That's just my parents.
Now I might have my all region receiver plaque handy dandy somewhere. Middle Tennessee 5A all region wide receiver in 1999.
Fantastic. Nevertheless, the way the Titans use the slot receivers, is Restrepo the only true slot receiver, or can Chimere DK be a slot guy? DK by size, not your conventional slot type, but did play a lot of slot at Wisconsin and was about a 50-50 slot guy at Florida. How those guys compete for those reps and whether or not the Titans are intent on putting Lockett in the slot is going to tell us a lot about how they want to build this receiving core.
I think I agree. And I think you have to look at Restrepo as anything he gives you or adds to the team is just sort of house money, obviously, as a UDFA. And I agree with Eddie that the bit and the coverage and the conversation is going to get old pretty quickly because of his connection to Cam Ward and all this stuff. But the thing that gets me most excited about, if I'm a Titans fan, is the versatility with which Brian Callahan could deploy these pieces.
Yeah.
Because like Gunnar Helm is absolutely a guy you can split out and play in the slot. So is Chig, but you could also run Ridley a quarter of the time. You could run Lockett a quarter of the time. You could run DK a quarter of the time. Iomanner is really the only one that kind of just needs to be on the outside all the time. And it gives you the ability to be very flexible and very versatile and creative with your formations. If it's okay that you have, well, I'm going to put Ridley in the slot and DK on the outside this play. Then the next play, we're going to have Ridley outside and Lockett inside. Then the next play, we're going to have, a true slot receiver in there, or maybe Oliver's in there. Like they're going to have a lot of flexibility with the pieces that are they're interchangeable, which is not positionless, It just means they're versatile. And I think that's important for an offense, especially when one guy goes in motion and becomes a slot receiver by going in motion. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the versatility of this group. I don't know how elite and productive they're all going to be, but I think there's a lot of versatility, and it gives the scheme opportunity. What other positions are you looking at?
The one other thing that I will highlight is the defensive line, because the Titans have 5 UDFAs who can play defensive line. And now Paul's trolling us for not saying the thing we just said. Hello, Paul. Good morning.
Morning, PK. It's not about where here. How do I do this? It's not about where Lockett has played. It's about where they intend to play him. Bet you he's primary slot. That's a huge take, PK. Huge.
It's possible. I think that's what we were saying, and you just said it briefer than us. So good job. Thank you for editing. 5 defensive line UDFAs range from 270, 284, 293, 306, 323. Like 5 very different shaped people, all theoretically can play everywhere from 7 on the defensive end side all the way to nose tackle. I'm really interested what kind of depth they're looking for at that position, especially after bringing back Lynch, bringing back Coburn. It seems like they're just running it back on the defensive line. Which of these guys can compete for a roster spot? It feels like they're kind of thin there. That is something I'll be watching.
Okay. I think that's worth watching. And then return guy as well. You wrote about that. Look, DK, they've already said they're going to throw DK back there and do some returning. They already said they're going to, and obviously Restrepo's a guy that could be part of that as well. And it's something they've been looking for years. So,
and if you guys want further breakdowns of UDFA defensive linemen, Stoney said he'll take care of that. I'll just talk about Max Keeble's big move. Big move.
I've never heard of that movie.
That's a young Josh Peck right there, if you can tell.
I don't know who that is. I don't know people's names. I don't know. I'm terrible with names.
Drake and Josh.
He's the one that
wasn't Drake.
I did go to Belcourt over the weekend to watch the Ballad of Willis Island.
Okay.
Amazing. Spectacularly funny. Laughed the entire time.
But have you ever seen the
Lion
King
the gummy I got
from Simba's Pride?
Yeah, I'm a parent. Of course I have. I laughed hysterically at the Ballad of Willis Island. It's brilliant. The concept is funny. It's very good writing. The main actor is hilarious and brilliant. It also might have been the products I ingested from Sinker's Beverages that made me have such a really good time. It was wonderful. Search Uber Eats for Sinker's Beverages and deliver the booze right to your party, right to your house. Don't drink and drive. Just drink. Let them drive. It's okay. Okay. Jake says, "Afternoon, guys. I've only just joined. I think it's the morning. Unless you're Jake, you're the one who's in the UK, right? I feel like you're in the Britain. There you go. Ed says, "Who's the media guy sending the drone over St. Thomas Sports Park tomorrow?" Those are not that expensive. For $300, my company should invest in one of those probably.
I was looking. Jake's name has Aslan in it, and I was like, "Do I have Chronicles of Narnia in here?" I don't. There's no Narnia in the DVD shelf.
I feel like
sorry, Jake.
I feel like DVDs weren't a thing anymore when Narnia came out. Maybe I'm wrong about that. From a timing wise, yes, Jake is in the UK. There you go. Okay. All right. You want to get into our
let's play some games.
Let's play some games here. This is designed to make training camp preview a little bit more exciting and entertaining. And we wanted to be creative about this, so no one else in the market is going to cover rookie Titans training camp like we're about to do this.
For better or worse.
For better or for worse. So look, he's already Z-Dean. Is Treylon really not going to make the team? I know he's been bad and hurt, but sort of crazy. A first-round pick is cut within 3 years. You think he's cut?
I think it's very possible that they can roster manipulate and put him on PUP to start the year because of the injury, so you don't have to cut him. But if he's healthy, then there's nothing you can do about it. So we'll see. I think that because of when the ACL was torn last year, they can very much hide between start him on PUP, keep him on reserve, and work through that.
I agree. All right, number one in our Titans rookie camp prop game comedy bit here. video virality. This is what's going to happen. You're going to get a couple of clips that are going to pop. As the audience engagement people like to say, that are gonna go bananas, and it's gonna get a bunch of clips. Now, obviously, a great or terrible throw by Cam Ward will be the one that gets the most traction.
Correct.
So, as Eddie says, excluding Cam Ward,
which should have been the title of this episode.
it might be the podcast title. Excluding Cam Ward, give me the player and the situation that you think will go the most bananas on social media. I have an old editor that used to say, "Guys, this article's going bananas," and we're just like, "God dang it!" All right, so go ahead.
I'm calling a one-handed catch slowed down by Alec Iomanner.
God damn it!
Did we have the same one?
I have a sideline one-hander with 2 feet down in the warm-up drills by Alec Iomanner. Yep.
Yeah, the context is going to be completely stripped. People will not know it is warm-up drills.
Right.
It is going to be a slow motion, looks so impressive as he goes up with one hand, when in reality, if you were watching it, somebody underhand tossed it to him or something. That seems like the most likely. Eddie in the comments also typing the exact same thing that we just said. Everybody on the same page there. If there's a second place one, just people realizing how big Kalel Mullins is.
Jesus,
could be like people
thick.
Just seeing his quads and being like, oh man, that is a dude.
2 C's thick. Yeah, there's no question. I think Gunnar Helm could do something where he lays out for a over-the-shoulder catch. It's one of those where I think you're running it's one of those where you're running the back shoulder fade, but you have to turn and dive, where you're running back this way, you look inside your shoulder this way, but then you have to turn back and catch it, and then you land on your back and you dive and you slide. I think a Gunnar Helm catch is absolutely in the mix here. The problem with DK is that he's the thing that makes him good or interesting is going to be hard to capture in a versus air drill. His speed would be great if we were able to film one-on-ones, which we are not able to film. But if he cooks a defensive back off the line, that would be something that would, his first 4 steps are too fast and the guy can't catch up. That would be very clicky. It would go bananas. And I think that, but you can't see that this week. You're not gonna be able to video. You're not gonna be able to tape that. Do you videotape stuff or you film it? What do you do? 2025.
Actually, Cam, no. If we want another deep cut option, nothing to do with actual football. Something with Jackson Slater, just being white boy summer kind of guy,
like a midriff.
Yeah, could pop on social media. That is a thing that just the Nashville market in May could really enjoy.
I got it. Jackson Slater standing there, the jersey's pulled up a little bit, so you get the midriff and the helmet's off, and Xavier Restrepo is standing right next to him. And you can just see how tall one guy is and how little the other guy is. And they're just like, big brother, little brother is the meme. It's like an internet meme right away.
And to Eddie's point right here, it's really tough to talk about Kevin Winston because I don't think any of us expect to see him do anything. So that takes one of the premium draft picks off the board here, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think that we have not mentioned Femi Oladejo once, and I think we'll get to him later in the show. I do not think there is a thing he can do to go viral this week. And that is
I was thinking about that. Yeah. Well, because again, the rules are we cannot film anything other than warm-ups and individual isolation warm-up stuff. Again, think about the ladder drill, right? It's the receivers working their feet on the ladders and catching a pass. That's all you can film really. And there's nothing that the defensive players are just really hard to get them doing anything interesting other than, again, if Winston were to make a play or something, we can't really film anything where they're playing against offensive players. So we shall see. And
rude comment of the week. You want to get the rude comment of the week out of the way from Z Dean right here?
Sure. Go for it.
Will Restrepo make practice on time? I heard he just finished running his 40. Yes. Rude. Funny.
A little
rude.
Kind of, creative. I'll give points for creativity. Over under on how many handshakes from Femi?
3?
I don't know.
Sorry for a serious answer.
Eddie says which white guy is going to ladder famous this summer? Oh God. Anyway, how many fans will run to the bridge if Ward bounces one into the lake? Yeah, that'll be interesting.
The ground is bouncy, guys. That might just be a torque thing. The ball might be overinflated.
I was standing right there when Levis bounced it into the lake. I was standing right there. And it wasn't necessarily like it wasn't a good throw, but it wasn't like it wasn't like an egregious throw either. So, all right. So video virality is very clearly the one seed is an Elik Ayumaner big body catch on the sideline, maybe one handed. I do agree that's the thing that's going to get the most clicks, the most virality. Okay, number 2, second deal draft. Here's I don't know that one either. What was that one?
That was Ella Enchanted. You just
never heard of that.
You were just not into teen movies in 2003. You were too old.
I was trying to date girls.
We have different ages, and my sister and I had DVDs. I was in elementary school. We're about 10 years apart. That happens. I'll give a dad movie.
Date's Glory Road. Term.
Glory Road. Dad movie. You've seen Glory Road.
I don't think so. What's
your deal? What's your deal?
Ask a more pointed question. I don't know what that means.
What's the second game?
Second game, second deal draft. We're going to take the 8 players, excluding Cam Ward. We're going to draft 8 players. You get 4, I get 4, and years from now we'll decide who wins based on who gets the most second contracts. Is this a snake draft, or are we just going to go back and forth here?
You be the game master here.
All right, then I'm going to go first, and I'm going to take Winston.
Okay, fair pick.
I'm going to take Winston because I think he's outside again, excluding Cam Ward. I think it's clear that he is the best chance to be a starter right away, earliest, and get his contract. So, Kevin Winston, second contract, pick number 1 for sure. Yes, Eddie, I agree.
Okay, if I am taking a second player here, I think I'm going to take Gunnar Helm.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I was
surprised he moved up your board that way. I
was between 2 or 3 people, and the thing is, you guys know my opinion on the tight end position, but I am not the Titans general manager. So most likely, based on rewarding production, rewarding value, Gunnar Helm seems like a guy who can contribute early, who can find a niche, and who can figure out a way to get to that 4th or 5th year on the team. So I'll take him as my second pick here.
There is also a chance that he is quickly the best tight end on the roster.
Could be.
I'm not saying that he is. I'm saying there's a good chance that he could be. So
interesting thing, 2023, Chig got, I believe, 16.5% of the Titans' targets. Last year under Callahan, that fell to 13% of the Titans' targets. Clearly his favor fell a little bit last year, but we shall see. We shall see if he can earn that back or if the targets will only be split further.
Couple quick questions here, kind of tied together. Eddie says, is this most likely a redshirt year for Winston? And Space City says, do y'all see Winston taking over for Woods by the end of the season? We've already talked about this, and the Titans have said this. They expect him to be healthy by camp. And so I don't think this is a redshirt year at all for Winston. And I think he starts as the number 3 safety. And I would not be surprised, especially considering, Amani Hooker's injury history. I expect Winston to be the starting safety as we head into November. One of those 2 months, I would assume he's in the starting lineup.
And the question here is, does he take over for Woods or does he take over for Hooker? Yep. Woods is on a 2-year contract. I think a lot of people have assumed this is a 1-year contract. Yep. The Titans didn't sign this for a one and done with Woods. So this is Amani's contract here, if I'm remembering right. I believe he heads into free agency.
He is the better player, though.
And that's the tricky situation of what are you phasing out contract-wise? What are you valuing? Obviously, you can get out of a 2-year, $10 million contract with Woods without too much penalty. But I do believe
this is his last year. Yeah, he's a UFA.
Yeah, I believe Amani's in a contract here, so it's a question of who's he replacing down the line.
Yeah, so I think he's in the lineup for sure. All right, so I'm on the third pick here. I guess I have to take Femi Oladejo, just based on where they drafted him, how they're invested in him, and if you're betting on organizations not necessarily always saying, look, we invested too much in this guy, we're going to give him more leash, but I do think that happens. And so the fact that you have basically a top 50 pick, roughly speaking, for this guy at a position of need where he could easily be by the end of the season or next year the number 1 player on the roster at that position. I don't love the pick. I thought for sure you would take him and I would get Gunnar Helm at with my second round, but I'll take Winston and Femi and take their 2 highest picks, not named Cam Ward. So I feel good about the team so far.
I would have had Oladejo 4th on my board here because I still would have taken Jackson Slater ahead of him. So I'll take Jackson Slater here.
Really?
just talking about roster dynamic, if you hit on a homegrown guard, there is much more incentive to keep, or a homegrown center, if that's where he ends up, especially, there is more incentive to keep versus you're always going to be able to sign a 1-year rental off the edge. There's always going to be a Draymond Jones. There's always going to be a Lorenzo Carter. If Oladejo hits, if he is a genuinely worth the top 50 pick player, then obviously he gets re-signed and he's a cornerstone piece. But we're talking about depth piece for depth piece. If they both end up being depth pieces, or if they both end up being serviceable starters, there is more likelihood in keeping a serviceable interior lineman than keeping a serviceable edge rusher, because serviceable edge rusher is going to cost more. So I would say if I'm just talking about second contract dynamics, plus the upside, Slater has a ton of upside, still growing in the position, playing in the small school in college. I think he's a guy who could be a fringe favorite to get that second contract.
I had him ahead of a lot of other pieces on this list. So we were seeing Helm and Slater the same way. Is what it sounds like. Jake says, could Slater be day one center if Cushenberry's still injured? No, that would be Corey Levin's still on the roster.
Corey Levin's still on the roster, and Mustafa, who they signed, has started 3 years at center in the past in the NFL. You've got some experience there, and I don't think you would want Cam Ward's first game to be with a rookie center in front of him. Corey Levin, Sam Mustafa, Brendan Hymas, I believe, has played a little bit of center as well. They've got some guys that could make this team.
I think if Slater makes the team, I think that's a positive sign. That's it. I think that's the bar. I don't think it needs to be any more than that for him. If he makes the team, which I think he will, then I think that's a positive sign, because there's a lot of the same stuff. The Hantz guy or whatever. Like, there's a lot of the same stuff behind the top five.
Yeah,
and they're trying to figure out all those different pieces right now. So that'll be interesting to see. All right, well, I'll take Ayumanner then, just because I think he's the best of the two receivers, and because I'm okay with my next pick being either of the two you don't take. I'm fine with that. So I've got Winston, Oladejo, and Ayumanner as my 3 second contract draft picks.
And so now I have Helm, Slater, and DK, because we're leaving the 6th round to the 6th round. DK's a guy who, especially if he presents special teams value, can find his way. It's just we're both sitting here with these 4th round receivers, knowing 4th round receivers are really hard to hit on. Yeah. Like, I looked this up. I've got it written down in this notebook here, so I'll regurgitate some stats to you guys.
Yes.
In the last 10 years, Geek Corner, 259 rookie receivers drafted on day 3. How many of them do you think got 475 yards in their rookie season?
In their rookie season?
In their rookie season, 475 or more.
Out of how many? 259 players?
259 players.
Like 11.
17.
Oh, that's
we
pretty
got
close.
17. That's about 6.6%.
Nick's nerdy nook.
Nick's nerdy nook. So we're talking, if it's for every Amon-Ra St. Brown, for every Puka Nacua, there are roughly 14 guys who are Des
irrelevant.
Yeah. Like, that is not to say that you stop trying to find the Amon-Ra St. Browns of the world. It's really hard to find those guys. And then for the Restrepo of it all, 413 undrafted rookies have played a game at receiver in the last decade. How many of those guys went for 475 or more as rookies?
Even less.
8.
Yeah.
8 out of 413. I use 475 as the number because that was how many yards it would have taken to be the 100th best receiver in football last year. And if you're the 100th best receiver, you are roughly a quality wide receiver 3.
Can we go into the crosstabs of your polling data here?
Sure.
How many of those that did not get to? So you said 259, 18 of them got to 475, or basically 500 yards. How many of them that did not hit that mark as rookies eventually went on to be starters? Do you have any idea what that is?
I didn't look into that, and that number gets really tricky to figure out because,
or not even starters, just got had a productive 500-yard season later.
I can look that up, and we can double back to that next week.
All right, follow-up trivia question.
Yeah.
In 2024, how many UDFAs? Because this, I guess we should finish our draft for the second deal, and then we get to the UDFA. I got a great UDFA stat for you, but we'll see if you probably know the answer. Well, I'm going to take Mullings then, because I think he's going to be the starting running back in 2 years. I think he'll be the starting running back after, as a combo with one of the two, probably. I don't know which one it's going to be. I don't think Pollard gets another contract after this. I'm not sure about what you think, but maybe he does. Spears probably does because it'll be very affordable and very cheap. As long as they want to bring him back with the injury history, I don't know. But I think Mullings could be the starting running back in 2 years. So yeah, I'm taking Mullings for sure.
The thing I will say about Mullings' potential here is the way that this offseason has gone with the purging of Vrabel guys, John Robinson guys, and Rand Carthon guys. Tajay might not necessarily have a home. He might not be favored. If he plays well, he's going to stick around. Like, it's as simple as if he keeps playing well, they're going to have a job for him. But Mullings is definitely this regime's guy.
And that's very interesting last year because when he had the ball in his hands, he was productive, but they didn't give him the football very much. So it's very interesting to see how the coaching staff views him.
He was hurt a lot too, and it was a weird season for him.
Yeah. But. So I've got Kevin Winston, Femi Oladejo, Alec Ayamaner, and Khalil Mullings as my 4 guys to get second contracts.
And so that leaves me. I've got Gunnar Helm, I've got Jackson Slater, I've got Chimere DK, and I've got Marcus Harris, who, if there is any rookie who I think has been totally lost in the conversation,
completely ignored,
it is Marcus Harris. I don't think that he has gotten very much coverage, and maybe he completely comes into this Denard Wilson system and overtakes Roger McCreary as a big nickel, and maybe that happens. I am skeptical of that. I think he is the rookie who is the most on the fence of making the roster, but we haven't seen him play yet, so we have to see it happen before we can make any assurances.
All right, game number 3.
Sound off. Who won? Whose roster do you think is better?
Sound off in the comments. Sound off.
That would be Incredibles of you if you sounded off in the comments.
Now that is a great movie. Great movie. Phenomenal movie. Excellent movie. Titans front office really liked the bit of taking guys who converted the position within a year, Femi and Mullings. Yeah, I mean, that's now, again, moving from inside to outside linebacker is not a totally different position, but I think going from linebacker to running back is. But yeah, okay, thank you, Eddie. I'll take the dub here. Ed says, can we fast forward to Ward getting in Ridley's face for cutting off a route? That'll be that's next week or 2 weeks from now. Okay. They said the Winston pick is just bad. Well, I did give myself the first pick.
Fair. That's totally fair.
And you would have taken the first. You would have taken.
He would have been the first pick for me too.
Yeah. The second pick is the tricky one.
Yeah.
That was the tricky one. Okay, game number 3, UDFA Darlings. Here's my stat. Do you know how many UDFAs made a 53-man roster last year? Right, like out of camp, I mean.
Yeah, I would say roughly 3 a team. So what's that work out to? 96?
Okay, so ballpark, you're signing what, 10? I'm going to ballpark it at 10 per team.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 350, let's say, total that are signed
around there,
after the draft. 43 players made the 53-man roster.
Wow.
The Titans had 1, of course. Now,
was David Martin Robinson really the only one?
Technically the only one. Yep.
Oh, I thought Judy Lawley did.
Now, Gabe Judy Lawley, Otis Reese, and Bryce Oliver, I think, eventually were on the team.
Yeah, Otis Reese was in year 2, but yeah.
So last year there were 4 on the roster eventually at some point during the year, but only David Martin Robinson, I think, made the roster out of camp. So QC already says Jamari Harris is UDFA number 1. No bias here. He's obviously a big Hawks fan, Iowa fan. So first and foremost, I'm going to put Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, who's the Florida offensive lineman, on this list only because he has 3 names. And if you look at, that's a 50% chance to make the roster based on their UDFAs last year because Gabe Judy Lawley and David Martin Robinson both made the team. So you have to include Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon because of 3 names. This is science. Okay. So I'm going to include him. Also, offensive line is a huge position of need just in general for everybody. So I don't love his potential necessarily. I don't love when I see a scouting report that says lacking in athletic ability. I don't love that part. But I've got 2 names written down. I'll be fascinated to see if you pick out the same 2 names. Who are the UDFAs? And I'm not going to say excluding Xavier Restrepo. But who are the UDFAs that you like the most to potentially make the roster?
Yeah, our rule today just can't talk about anyone who attended the University of Miami. No Miami talk. If you guys want to learn more about Xavier Restrepo, I'm going to have a story coming out about him in the next couple of days. So keep an eye out there. If you
got to feed the beast.
If you are rabid Restrepo, what's a third one I can use to continue the alliteration? Respecters, rabid Restrepo respecters. Jamari Harris was somebody that was on my list. I think that he is somebody who's got a shot to compete for a roster spot, but it's Cam Horsley, the defensive tackle out of Boston College, is somebody who I think's got a real shot to. I talked about the defensive line and how interested I am in that one. That is a guy who could have been a draft pick, could have been a round 5, 6, 7 draft pick, and the Titans have a chance to add him as a depth piece. And then just purely on need, not on impressiveness, David Gabenda out of Texas. This team just needs to find an answer at inside linebacker. And if he pops at all, he is going to be a guy we talk about. And the way I pitched this game to Braden was less about who do I think is going to make the team, and is more who on August 20th are we all going to be sitting here about like, oh, this guy's something. We got to pay attention to this guy. Just because of the lack of depth at linebacker, I think that if there is a linebacker who at all looks competent, we're going to be sitting here going, oh yeah, that's a guy. So I'll take Gabenda out of Texas.
No, I like Gabenda a lot. I actually wrote down Cam Horsley and Jamari Harris. Those are my two that I wrote down. I like, because again, it's hard to. You're right. I should have framed the question a little bit better. I apologize. It was more about like who's the darling of camp that we all love. Like Gabe Judy Lolly would fit that mold last year for sure. That we talked about him a lot more than we did even some of the rookies. But Horsley, to me, because he's sort of that like interior guy that can play all over the defensive line, he's got some versatility at his position. He's a big body at 6'4", 300 pounds. But what I really like about him is that he was a productive starter for a long time at a high level at a power school.
Yeah.
This is a guy who was a professional defensive lineman for 4 seasons as a starter at Boston College, all ACC guy. I just like the guys who sort of have played a lot of ball in key situations. So I've got Cam Horsley as one that I'm watching there. It's also really hard to know how well a defensive lineman is doing in camp. I can remember seeing guys at the beginning of camp last year and being like, oh, they changed their body. Oh, they look really good in drills. And then they were nowhere near the final cut on the roster. Yeah. So it's just hard to tell. But then Jamari Harris, because number one, Iowa defensive backs are extremely prepared for the NFL
for sure.
in general. And because we know this team loves their safeties and their versatility on the back end, and they need some guys there. They're clearly they traded up to get Winston when they needed other positions more. So they clearly have a view of what's going on in the secondary. So those are the two I wrote down.
One more name for me. You got one more?
Yeah, go for it.
Desmond Evans out of UNC is a former 5-star, like genuinely like guy that everybody's like, oh, I can be the one that can fix him. You have a lot of just raw talent without very much production. I'm going to be very interested to see how he fits in another room that's kind of thin, the pass rush, the outside linebacker group. Whether he's a defensive end or outside linebacker at his size, he's a bigger edge. But just purely on the type of guy Braden and I tend to fixate on, that's a high school talent right there. That's a guy that stuck around Power 5 for a while, and everybody was waiting for his year.
As I get out my high school awards.
Yeah.
Al Bundy analyzing other Al Bundys here. No, I do like, look, the athletic potential of a 5-star athlete is just always going to be in the back of your head. You're like, oh, well, if it ever clicks, if it ever comes together, if he ever figures it out, he's got the measurables that other people don't have. And so I agree with that. I do like the Gabenda pick for at linebacker, because I think they are. Maybe they're not talking about this, and this is probably something about we're going to get deeper into, and I've already mentioned it a few times about what this staff thinks of Cedric Gray, and I have questions about how committed this staff is to Cedric Gray. They invested a lot in him. I don't know how well organized, prepared, in agreement the entire building was on him when they took him. And so it's not an anti-Cedric Gray take. It's sort of this is how I feel the building is the dynamics inside the building are. It doesn't mean he's not really good, but this is outside of Cody Parton, this is a completely wide open battle for every position.
Yeah.
Starting position, backup, special teams. I think it's completely wide open, and almost any combination of bodies you could put in that on that list at the end. James Williams is in there. Otis Reese is in there. All the backups are in there. These undrafted free agents are in there. Somebody needs to rise to the top on that at that position.
If we're looking for a camp darling, I don't think Chance Campbell has signed anywhere yet. We can just run this back for a 4th straight camp if we want a camp darling. But yeah, Gabenda's a guy who theoretically could make some noise.
Carthon was running the draft when they took Cedric Gray. The question is, how much did Grant Carthon want Cedric Gray versus maybe a position coach or a defensive coordinator, and then how much were they all in agreement? I just don't know. I don't know. I've heard that there's varying levels of commitment with him, and I think that's the right question I've asked before: is how committed is this organization to Cedric Gray? That's all. Yeah. That's what I'm asking, and I think that's a fair question to ask about him. Okay, did we cover our UDFA darlings?
I think so. Okay. There's going to be one that we didn't name who's going to absolutely pop this week because he's going to have long legs or something. I don't know. It's a strange time of year.
All right, Brian Callahan bingo. Let's play Brian bingo here on the show. Go to Sinkers Beverages and Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, 2 great local businesses that exist here in Nashville, Tennessee, that are run by people who live here in Nashville, Tennessee. None of this big corporate nonsense. They live here in Nashville, Tennessee, and they provide service to people who live in Nashville, Tennessee. Imagine that. Great local businesses, award-winning local businesses, as voted on by you, the users and subscribers and shoppers and retailers, all that great stuff. So Sinkers Beverages in East Nashville, award-winning, and their sister store, Bluegrass Beverages, up in Hendersonville and Goodlettsville area. So make sure you check them out if you're in the area. You can have that booze delivered directly to your house, Nick. Okay, Brian Callahan bingo. Oh God,
it's
not a DVD.
Not a DVD.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count. You have to be watching on YouTube to see all this just pure raw entertainment that's taking place. All right, here's my first one, and I'm going first again because I want to steal this one just in case you wrote it down.
Okay.
Be satisfied with the boring. That's my favorite one from Brian Callahan. He might say like, be satisfied with the mundane, be okay with the mundane. He might use a different variation of it, but I think it's a smart way to look at quarterback play, especially a rookie who needs to learn things, especially a guy who might take too many risks. So I think one of the things Callahan is going to be drilling into Cam Ward's head is to take what the defense gives you. That's the really cliche one. But be satisfied with the boring. I want to hear him say, playing quarterback is about being smart and taking care of the football. You got to be satisfied with the boring. That's what I want to hear Brian Callahan say. That's my first one.
This is the center space in a training camp bingo board. So I'm sorry to take it, but you didn't take it in the first round, and that's crazy.
I was trying to be creative.
First round pick, slam dunk answer. It's just fun to see people compete. I just love seeing the guys out here on the field. It's just fun. That's going to be the first thing he says. It's just going to be fun to see the guys compete.
You're going obvious though. I was trying to go deep in the weeds, I guess. Okay.
I don't know how many picks we're making. The obvious one, the thing that needs to be said is that at some point he's going to say, it's just fun to get to see the guys compete. That is going to be said. And if we want to win a game, if this is a competition to win a made-up prize that doesn't exist, yeah.
All right. Okay.
He's going to say it's fun to see the guys compete.
Well, I didn't make a list of every coach cliche that's said at every press conference.
Neither did I. I've written down one thing. That's all I've got. Everything else is improv.
I was trying to pinpoint Brian Callahan cliches or things, not even cliches. I love the be satisfied with the boring. I think it's a great message to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Here's the other one, and this one is a little bit more mainstreamish cliche, which is we don't want to put too much on his plate.
Yeah.
That's the one. I think he's going to say something about this because he's going to speak before we go watch practice. He's going to speak. Callahan will address the media. He'll have, I think, one practice on Friday, right, under his belt. So he'll have had a private practice, Callahan, with the new players. Then Saturday he'll talk before practice that we all get to see, and it's going to be we don't want to put too much on his plate. We just want him to go out there and play fast. That's another one. We just want him to play fast.
Yeah.
That's the only one you wrote down one?
I've got some more. I wrote down one. I've got some more. I think that we are absolutely going to hear some variation of Yeah, I don't know how much it matters that Ward and Restrepo played together. Obviously, they have some sort of chemistry together. Like obviously that exists, but at a certain point you got to put on the pads and play in the NFL. And so yeah, there's some advantage to it, but it's not like the end all be all. Like some variation of that idea of it matters, but let's downplay how much it matters. That's going to come up. That is going to be one of the first questions asked.
Yeah.
And I am fairly certain it will be downplayed.
How much does it? I mean, it's nice that they have a chemistry and know each other, but it doesn't matter all that much that they play together at Miami.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, they know each other. Like, I'm not going to pretend that isn't a built-in
Right.
chemistry, but it's not going to mean it's not a guarantee or anything.
QC says, "quote Will Levis is in the room or whatever. What's the absolute minimum he can say?" That was cheeky, QC. As
Not
Bluey
quite
and
as
Bing-
rude as the rude comment of the day,
Yeah.
but cheeky.
as
We'll give it cheeky.
as Bluey and Bingo would say, is cheeky. What's the absolute minimum he can say about Levis? I assume he will be asked about Levis as well, but that because he's not practicing this weekend, it's not veterans. I'm curious, what is the minimum he could say? Probably just he's in the competition, and we hope that he's made a lot of progress in his offseason training with Jordan Palmer. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. What else you got?
Nick says Restrepo will make this roster. That's kind of a bold statement. He was running 4.5 consistently before his hamstring tightened. Is this a Xavier Restrepo burner account? Tightened up at Pro Day. You know about Xavier Restrepo's hamstrings at Pro Day? Cam will insist he's on the team and will be behind Lockett calling it now. How do you feel? Here's an interesting question. Does Cam Ward have that kind of pull? Should he have that kind of pull? Do you want him to have that kind of pull on the roster?
I think that Cam will make his case, but truly, as everything in the Titans receiver room has gone for the last 3 years, this will come down to Treylon Burks' health. If they have the extra roster spot and they are choosing between, let's say, Xavier Restrepo, Jaquan Jackson, Colton Dowell, Mason Kinsey, James Prochet, like that group, yeah, I think there's a chance Restrepo can make it. When I made my post draft, when I made my post draft 53, I had Restrepo on it. Like I think there is a legitimate shot. But if you're using a roster spot for Treylon to avoid burning the contract, that makes it tougher. And I don't know, speed is whatever, and chemistry is whatever. The fundamental reality is dude can ball. Dude catches a lot of passes and gets open and works hard. And he has the traits of leadership and accountability that this front office tends to like, on top of the fact
Also
that
true.
him and Cam Ward get along. So
you're pro Restrepo. You're just anti the story of Restrepo taking over our conversation.
I don't think it should be the only thing we talk about, but I am pro Restrepo making this team.
Look, here's the thing. There's two ways to look at this. He is not better than Colton Dowell. He is not better than Bryce Oliver. He is not better than Treylon Burks, I don't think. But he is better, perhaps, at playing his position than anybody else in the room right now.
Yeah.
Like there may not be a better option at that position. Now, he may not be a full-time slot. The other guys might be worked in there. I think Stoney agreed with me earlier saying, like, this is what Callahan wants, is to be able to move these pieces around on offense. So I think look, I watched him a lot. I thought he was very productive at Miami. I thought I agree with you. The most important element here is that Restrepo has all of the traits mentally and physically that this coaching staff and front office seem to like. I think that is one of the most important traits. Professional, hardworking, sort of goes about his business, head down. 4.78 versus 4.48. It matters, I guess, in superstardom, but it doesn't matter on the fifth or sixth player on the team, on the roster at that position. He's going to make the team because he's where he's supposed to be at all times and catches everything. If he makes the team, that's how he'll make the team.
Again, if that is you in the burner, Xavier, I am pro you making the team.
I am also pro Restrepo. I agree. It's a weird. I am pro the player making the team because I think he can be a benefit to the team while not getting oversized, outsized coverage because they happen to play together and because he happened to fall out of the draft. Like I just think we can do it normally. We can just cover him normally. All right. Any other Brian Callahan bingo terminologies you need to throw some more out there?
I had one more. I'm trying to. I missed it. If you had one more, say it while I try and gather the thought that I forgot to write down.
Well, I think it's all about hedging. I think it's a lot of his messaging strategy is going to be about hedging the anticipation around Cam Ward.
Mhm.
It's going to be about level setting and kind of lowering expectations and sort of setting a kind of like even line floor for Cam. Like he's got to learn that. I think there's going to be something about we've got to teach him to play within in the system. Something along those lines where it's we want to train him in the system, whether it's footwork in the pocket, whether it's rhythm, whether it's processing correctly and hitting your progressions at the right times. I think there's going to be a lot of that, which they've already alluded to is the thing they need to sort of work on with him. So I think there's a lot of he's got to go through his progressions. He's got to find a rhythm. We've got to get him on platform. Like there's all kinds of that stuff that I think is gonna come up.
The last thing I was thinking of, him and Taylor Lewan run the same 40. Guys,
have you seen Taylor Lewan? Taylor Lewan's like 195 pounds now.
Guys, be nice to Xavier Restrepo. He is in the chat right now.
And to be fair, Taylor Lewan, one of the truly exceptional athletes for a left tackle in the last 10 years in the NFL. Like extraordinary athleticism.
Yeah. The other thing that I forgot to write down was just the sentence, Legarius is coming along. I believe those 4 words will be uttered at some point.
We are aware of the situation.
Yeah. that will come up.
All right. Which media? Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Ways Barbecue. Go sign up for Good Journalism, Tennessean.com. Follow Nick Suss on the Twitter machine, even though he never tweets. Okay.
Quick. How many DVDs in the Star Wars trilogy box set? How many DVDs are in the trilogy box set?
6?
4.
Oh, you just went boxes. Okay. I thought you meant like 2 DVDs per movie or whatever.
No, we've got 3, 4, 5, and 6 in here.
Oh,
I don't know why, but
that is odd. Why'd they put 3 in there?
I don't know. It might not have come in here, and I might have just put 3 in there when I was a teenager.
I caught up on Andor last night. Actually, it's basically Game of Thrones for Star Wars nerds.
Okay.
Like Andor, it's because the reason I think it gets so much acclaim and is so much better than everything else that they've done from a series standpoint is that it's about the people. It's not about like the blasters and the spaceships and the Wookiees. It's about the people. It's about drama. It's about senators, and which I appreciate. It's like the only one that my wife will watch. She doesn't really get into Star Wars. My kids love it, but no, it's great. It's Andor's great. I can't recommend Andor. It's awesome. You should watch.
I will say when they have a draft to bring in all of the new competitors and new cast in Andor, do they then have Wookiee camp?
You are ready for fatherhood, my guy. You are very ready. This was thank you for watching the Titans Wookiee camp prop bets on the 440 Sports Network.
Do you want to do the media members thing? I don't even have an answer.
So tell me
this
is behind the scenes. This is behind the scenes. So you are allowed to you're only allowed to, and I should pull up the exact language. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll pull it up. You're only allowed to watch, I believe, and videotape. You can watch all of it, but you're only allowed to record. Let me double check here. Media advisory, rookie camp. Okay. Please note, media members will be permitted to watch and photograph the entirety of the practice session. Videos will be limited to the stretch and individual periods. So again, individual and stretch is the only time you can video. So I made the rules are you can't in training camp, you can't tweet anything until the end of practice. So I made this huge mistake. I'm using myself as the guinea pig here to show you guys what this is. Who's going to screw up the rules is the question to wrap up the show here today. Julio Jones, if you remember, Julio Jones made a deep catch into the end zone at training camp one of the first practices he was out there. And I was writing out my draft of my tweet to send. Julio Jones makes catch down the sideline against so-and-so on a go route, came up lame, went into the locker room, went into the facility. And I accidentally hit send instead of draft, right? And that was my fault. And immediately, like, PK comes up to me. He's like, Braden, this is a civilization. What are we doing? And I immediately was like, oh, shit. I took it down. Buck has done it in the past where he screwed up and tweeted something he wasn't supposed to. I think PK did it once last year maybe and made a mistake. So the question is, which overzealous and or technically challenged? There's 2 different types of people that could do this. Make the mistake and either record the wrong thing or post the wrong thing? Who you got?
First off, comments we have invited people to be rude to other Titans media members. Don't be rude.
Buck
We
is
like
so beta.
These are friends of ours or people we feel friendly with. There is nobody in the Titans media crew who I want to see fail.
No, of course
I
not.
like all of these people.
There's some sibling rivalry happening though, for sure. For sure.
There's a little bit. I don't know who is going to. When you are talking about violating the rules, there are the social media rules, there are the filming rules, and then there's also the don't go there rules.
Like the third field rules?
Yeah. Don't walk a place you're not supposed to walk.
Yeah.
And that is a rule I think is much more likely to be violated. And it's usually unclear whether that's violated on purpose or by accident.
If it's about walking around the facility, generally it's TV person.
Yes.
It's TV reporter guy, girl that makes the mistake because they got the camera a little too close. Or now here's the thing though, this is a really good press corps. I just think it's a really good press corps. So I think most everybody is they get along. I think everybody's kind to each other and respectful to each other. Generally speaking, I think everyone follows the rules pretty well. I think we're trying to get out of each other's way. If one person's shooting and has a spot, we stay out of the way. I think it's pretty good little. It's not like I've been places where it's like stupid competitive, but I think it's pretty good. Terry will go the wrong place. What's fun? I don't think has Terry ever screwed up the social media rules though. I don't think he has.
He's misspelled quite a few tweets.
Also fair, but he's not. I think he follows the rules so strictly though that he would not ever like.
I don't think there's going to be a premature tweet.
Terrible. Paul likes adversity and confrontation though, and that's why he thinks this is terrible. I enjoy the Nashville way, which is like, it's not that serious, guys. Everybody just get along, okay? This isn't ice raids in the middle of the night, okay? This is a football team we're talking about here. So,
sure.
PK's getting old and Cena. Now they're talking to each other. This is great.
That is Xavier Restrepo's burner saying that PK is getting old and senile.
Paul, will you ask Xavier Restrepo this weekend if he is actually Nick Laycox?
Yeah, I don't know who's going to mess up. You guys are going to see some tweets. You guys are going to see a lot of what thing will people see the most, the one thing the most times? Like what one video is going to be tweeted by the most people? Is it Cam's first throw?
Yeah.
Just whatever the first throw during individual is?
Yeah, either that or his best throw during individual, right? Yeah. Like we're all going to be standing there taking videos of Cam Ward. So, and it'll be against air. It'll be to like one of the staffers, one of the trainers. He's going to have his gloves on and catching a pass, whatever. So,
and then second place, people have pointed this out. Second place will be a rookie struggling with Bertha. We're gonna ride that for all we can ride it.
Yeah. Well, look at these patented offensive line. Bill Callahan destroying rookie careers before they get started. So, Josh says, "Is this the most entertaining pod in the show's history?" Many are saying so.
I guess I won't end it by showering people by showing the DVD that's been canceled.
Please show the DVD that's been canceled.
I mean, it's going to make people sad.
Oh, really? Ooh. You're not allowed to play that one during parties.
You're not. You are not. For people who weren't watching on YouTube.
No, you got to watch.
Not going to describe it. Not going to describe it. Not going to describe it.
Look, I've watched a lot of Louis C.K. content, okay?
The reason that I love television the way I do is his television show. There are only three TV shows ever that have made me say, "Wow, I didn't know you could do that."
Yeah.
And his is one of them. And yeah,
he's so damn funny. He's so damn funny, but man, really weird guy.
Strange man.
I mean, I guess they go hand in hand. Tennessean.com, pay for good journalism. Nice to talk to you, Paul. We'll see you over the weekend. Sinkers, Beverages, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. Check all of them out as well. Always a pleasure, Nick. Good to see you, my guy. Safe travels back to town. We'll see you guys on Saturday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.